dream dress. Everybody loves this one. So that's it all finished. Next one. Okay, is Kristen ready? All the girls say that they're fitting. Oh my God, look at this beautiful petticoat. Nobody's ever going to get to see this petticoat. So I'm showing you guys the petticoat. And here she comes with the finished dress. So I just want you to see, look how long her train is. The girls have to deal with that. And a lot of them have never been in the show before, so one of the things I spend a lot of time in fittings doing is teaching them how to get up off the ground. Because they're wearing all this wish, right? Yeah. Should we do getting up off the ground?
Push me down.
I actually do that in fittings. I have to fling the girls down like I'm a Fanta, you know? But basically what it is, you want to show them how to get up? Sure.
Okay, well the first time I get tossed is this direction. I usually slide a few feet. And then,
so that's the cleavage shot. I was for somebody paying for those tickets, right? That's the cleavage shot. It's practice cleavage shot.
And then it's a matter of getting up gracefully, but not too gracefully because I did just get tossed on the floor. So I just kind of get to my feet to make sure I'm not standing on any fabric and then stand up again. Pretty much every time it's that way.
Yeah, because there's a hoop in here that has a tendency, sometimes the petticoat, it's like a big giant octopus and it sucks itself to the floor. So if they really get stuck, and sometimes you'll see them in the gym, they can't get up, they have to cheat their leg out that way. So pop, like Tupperware, pop their things so they can actually get to their feet.
The hardest one is when we're kneeling next to the throne because we have to sing while we're getting up to that time. And so it's a process of getting from your knees and set up from your hands and feet. Yes, you don't want to like yank it out from under yourself.
So here, come down here so they can see a little closer. So, see this stuff here? We make about probably 3,000 yards of this every time we do a show. It's a custom embroidered organza that's out. We used to be so down, it's polyester, because it lasts a lot longer. And notice to say, there's like yards and yards and yards and yards of it. Well, every time we do a show, we make at least 4 of these dresses, and it's all over the skirt. So there's tons and tons of that that gets made. It's also up here. And then here, we're showing the back. And okay, so then we take the silk organza out and get it pleated and edged. And then there's 3 little bits of trim here, believe it or not, that hold it on to the back. We call this the waterfall. It's the waterfall part of the bust. See how it goes on in like ziggy-zaggies? Instead of just on, it goes on. So it's like it takes forever to make this. So the people that make this dress, they start months ahead of time. They just start making this ruffle. Because it doesn't matter what size the girl is, it gets cast. You know, you need like 3,000 yards of that silver stuff and another 1,000 yards of this stuff, so you just start making it. And the shop is just like full of ruffles. Oh wow. Anyway. Oh, there you go. And that veil, we're not going to talk about the veil. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I want to see that shot again sometime.
Okay, I'll show it to you.
Okay, thanks.
This is my favorite understudy shot. This is Amanda Huddleston, like everybody's getting ready for opening night in her dress because she was one of the understudies, was the last to arrive. So she put it on her, and of course it fit her beautifully, and there she is in the hallway like, nobody's paying any attention. But so that's how many of these we had to make for the show. Actually, we had to make another one, 5, one for the spring. So there's a lot of those in the building. Okay, Carlotta. Everybody understand. There's the sketch for the original Carlotta for Hannibal. Now, scaling-wise, if I actually made that costume that big, we couldn't get her on the stage. We literally couldn't get her through the doorways of the building. So needless to say, we make her something proportionate to the lady in question, because EJ's not that tall. So I couldn't, if I made her dress that big, she would look like she was wearing like some sort of enlarged stuff up. So anyway, this is another costume that, all of her costumes are really, really complicated. I'm just going to talk, just like every single bit of this is handmade and hand-painted. So if you ever get a chance to get a close look at one of these, which we couldn't do today because they're all emotional, but this is one of the ones that has the most hours of labor in the show. This is probably it. Okay, now one. So this is actually a day dress. She just wears this to go to the office with the fur, of course. Okay, next. Okay, that's that one. Not that actual custom version of it. Again, we have a lot of these in the building because of understudies. This is another one that has tons and tons of custom ruffles and embroidery manufactured just for it. And the little hand embroidery stomacher. Okay, next. Oh, but all the girls always say, oh, how come nobody will ever see this beautiful petticoat? So here we go. Here's a petticoat. Next one. Okay, there's Danielle in her actual fitting. This is how this costume begins. So you can see the couture bodice, that's like a little corset. You can see the little panniers that actually hold the skirt out, panniers, and the petticoat with all the ruffles. And of course, there's the negligee that has, it doesn't have its lining in again, it just has stones on it, there's no ruffles on it. But this is how they start, this sort of impoverished little look here. This is how they begin. Okay. Masquerade. The Bath Lady. And the next one is there's a reason that you should always smile at your fit. See, it's like, it's like, Okay, there we go. Don Juan, 48 seconds of loveliness, but it's coming on. Okay, there we go. Ah, Pianji. There we go. This cape is something that the Pianjis, of course, have to learn how to use. It's one of their biggest chores, but Larry does it so beautifully, as I'm sure you've all noticed. Okay, next. There's the sketch. Notice his face is actually cut out of a book and printed in there instead of drawn. There's this great book called The Great Opera Stars in Historic Photographs, and I would say a great deal of the show comes out of this book. If any of you guys are really interested in looking at some of the styles of how they actually used to do opera costumes at the turn of the century, this is a fabulous, fabulous resource. It's inexpensive. It's from, who are they? Dover. It's a good inexpensive paperback, but it's got black and white photographs in it, and they're amazing in the detail. And you can sort of go through your page by page and go, oh, well, that's the, and that's the, and there's the one from the, so there's a ton of the show that's, if any of you guys are interested in accuracy, that's in this book, including his face.
What's the entire title?
Oh, The Great Opera Stars in Historic Photographs. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Needless to say, none of our Pianjis are quite the size that we need them to be. So we make them, I call them the birds in the gilded cage, because we have to make them a cage. We used to do all the bellies with foam, but the guys were getting so hot they were passing out. So we had to figure out a way to make it empty space. So this is a cantilevered engineering marvel, this fatsuit, because not only is it nice and cool to wear, it weighs almost nothing, and makes them huge, but it washes and dries overnight. You can throw it in the washing machine. So Larry's doing his best to make it look sexy in the hallway. So that's the fitting photo for the Hannibal. And there it is all done, downstairs in the hallway. He has to climb the elephant in that, and the cape weighs close to 70 pounds. Oh. Because it's two-sided, it's belted. You see it has those big embroidered patches, plus it has, you can't see the elephants. There's little embroidered elephants all over it. So we have these little patches that are like this big, that are elephants. They're all over embroidered with sequins that are made like a dozen somewhere in India. And it's a giant patchwork quilt, but it's two-sided because you see both sides. And they're equally embroidered and stoned and whatever, and you cleanse the elephant with everything. Okay. There's a muslin fitting of him in his manager's costume. And yeah. Larry takes the best photographs. He always looks like he's having a good time. Okay, next. Okay, this one he's not so happy with. All the Pianjis are like, I have to wear that? It's like a giant tutu for a boy. and the positioning the sun on the belly is always like, how do you get it? Because it's kind of like a giant rubber octopus that you have to get to stay on the tutu while they're dancing. So that's why it's rubber. Because the little arms have to be able to move apart to go part of the tutu. Go ahead. And there it is all done. Now, the sun is never happy either. We've had many, many discussions over the years about whether the sun should be happy to be at the masquerade party or not, and Ray decided not. The sun is not happy to be there. So, Don Juan. This is a good historical costume. It's actually a copy, well, not a fabric and everything, it's really a black and white photograph of Caruso as Don Giovanni. And go ahead, the next one. And it's always tricky to get it to have the right belly shape. We spend a lot of time in the fitting getting that one right. But this one, again, has like triple pipings that will just fall a little bit. It's fun to make, but it's time consuming.